Video on demand. I have opinions. So this week, Disney has decided to release Mulan on Disney Plus for the low price of $30, plus your Disney subscription fee, which is like $12. So like realistically, you're paying $42 for Mulan, which I would say is a lot. But the question is, why? We're seeing right now a lot of studios are holding out their bigger blockbuster films for a theatrical release. Why would Disney give away, one, a Disney princess movie, but two, a summer action blockbuster to its streaming service? Well, the reality is, they're gonna make more money that way. And video on demand is gonna change drastically how movies are consumed and how movies are gonna get made. So let's look at the facts, the numbers. So Trolls World Tour, little movie you may have heard of, was the first movie to be released on video on demand in the times of Miss Rona. So this movie made $100 million in 3 weeks just on video on demand. I'm telling you that this is not, well, no ads, no real advertising push. This is just off of mothers, just off of parents sitting in their house and saying, you know what's going to shut my kids up? The Trolls. Give them the Trolls. I'll pay anything for the Trolls. Only for 48 hours they can just watch Trolls for 2 days like I have some sanity. $100 million off of 3 weeks. Now, that's breaking box office records. It's never been seen before. And this has ruffled the feathers of many theater owners. Your small theater owners and the big boys like AMC and Regal. So much so that AMC said, you know what, here's the thing. If you sell Trolls, no movies, you can't show your movies in my theater. And Universal was like, I just made $100 million in 3 weekends. Checkmate, your move. And if you've been paying attention to the movie news, they have been beefing this whole time. They recently have made a settlement to where AMC will allow Universal movies to play in their theaters only on the condition that Universal can release said movies then on video on demand after a shortened window. So basically, you'll see a Universal movie on Friday, and then maybe in a week or two you can buy it at home for the $20 or whatever. That way there's a nice compromise between people who want to go out and people who want to stay home. So here's the problem. It's not the fact that we're sending movies to video on demand, it's the question of which ones are worthy of a theatrical release. So far, the big boys that we've seen, the blockbusters we've seen going to video on demand have been Mulan and Antebellum. Now, let's play a game at home. What are the two similarities between Mulan and Antebellum? I'll give you a minute. You got it right. They are both two films led by women of color. Now, despite the fact that Trolls made that much money, it's kind of telling that these studios are willing to give these films not away for free, but take the gamble of losing money, because here's the thing. This is an anomaly. Trolls is not gonna, we have no idea if this is gonna work for every movie. This is a kid's movie. You know, it has the whole babysitter effect going on. Like a 2-year-old's not gonna watch Antebellum. I mean, maybe they will. I don't know, kids. Anyways, but I think that Mulan will benefit from the same thing the Trolls did, the fact that it's a kid's movie and it's a Disney film and that families are going to buy it. Antebellum may not fare so well. So, we've had a history in the business of people not believing that women-led films, people not believing that POC-led films will make money. So usually, you know, that results in these films not getting made or these films getting lower budgets. That way that they can recoup their losses. If it fails, they didn't lose that much money. And if they make a large profit, which they don't think is going to happen, they're kind of lowballing you. So with this, you know, these movies, they're thinking, all right, we may not have a Trolls 2 situation. Let's just send it to video on demand and make the money we can. So on one hand, we're like, oh, this is great. We get Antebellum and Mulan. But the question I have for you guys is, who decides what's worthy of a theatrical release? Now, if you notice, Tenet, which is the big the big Christopher Nolan return with John David Washington, they said, we're waiting till the theaters open. Wes Anderson said, we're waiting till the theaters are opening. Now, these are both male-led films, but what I think is really interesting here is that Janelle Monáe is leading Antebellum. John David Washington is leading Tenet. Relatively, if you're really looking at this objectively, Janelle Monáe is a bigger star. Granted, John David Washington had his breakout role in BlacKkKlansman, but Janelle Monáe is a platinum-selling recording artist and has been in multiple films herself and is coming off of a great season in Homecoming. Both of them, objectively, are about even on the scale of celebrity and draw, if Janelle Monáe not being more. And I think it's very telling that they're saving Tenet for a theatrical release, but they're shoving Janelle Monáe's picture off the video on demand. So, who is this hurting? Well, it's hurting small business owners. Now, there's a certain movie theater chain that's very popular that is in most towns and has had some beef with the other studios already been mentioned in this video that I personally despise because the concessions are horrible and it smells like urine every time I go in there. AMC. But, you know, needless to say, this movie theater chain has always had low standards. So let's just take my small town, for example. If you want to see a movie, you either have to go to AMC or the small chain that we have here called Escape. Now, relatively, Escape is a little bit cheaper than AMC. Honestly, as far as cleanliness and snacks, they're about the same, honestly, but most people prefer Escape because they play not only the blockbusters, but smaller independent films, and a lot of times they cater to black audiences, so we go there. Now, Escape is not AMC. AMC has millions of dollars. They're a multi-million-dollar company. Escape maybe has like 3 or 4 franchises. Is Escape going to survive this whole pandemic thing? Who knows? I'm terrified. And then if the studios keep giving away movies to video on demand, realistically in this whole time of Corona, if it's already at home and you can pay a slightly higher price to stay safe, who's going to go to the movie theaters? So your smaller theaters are going to be hurt. Now, this is sad for a couple of reasons, not just because it's a small business, but it's hurting accessibility. Like I said, Escape usually caters to black film. A lot of smaller black independent films that you would not see a large theatrical release of get released at Escape, and really that's how I had access to them growing up. If Escape closes, I have to go to Virginia or DC to see these small independent films. Now, not only is representation important, is the accessibility important, but if we're not seeing these films, we don't know what to demand for. With this Oscar season coming up, which is going to be, I don't know what they're going to do about this. It's going to be a journey. But with this coming up, if we're not seeing these black films, we can't say, oh, what about this? Oh, what about that? We can't rally around something and say, you didn't nominate this if there's no accessibility around it. And that's where things get problematic. If the studios are deciding what does and doesn't get a theatrical release, and we're putting minority-led films on VOD, one, frankly, VOD is more expensive than a movie theater ticket, so you're putting a paywall there for people to see this film. And then additionally, without a theatrical release, is it even eligible for the Oscars? Now they're making some changes allowing streamable movie content to be eligible, but that's a harder awards campaign. This means that black film, minority-led film is already getting more stumbling blocks and placed in front of it than it already needs. Like, I'm so glad that we're going to be able to see Antebellum. I'm so glad we're going to be able to see Mulan. But this is honestly only benefiting the large studios and hurting the fans in the long run and hurting small businesses. So, what do we do about this? Buy the heck out of Antebellum and Mulan. I think that really is our only solution, because we need to show the studios that minority-led films have value and that people would have paid to see them had it been a theatrical release. I personally will be paying to see both of them, and I just think that it's really important to honor minority-led filmmakers. Antebellum is a black female-led science fiction movie. We don't see that a lot. It's important to honor that. It's also important to honor the filmmakers behind Mulan, who decided to disregard a lot of the Disney-isms that were placed on the film and stick to a traditional Chinese story. We need to honor that, and we need to support that if we want to see more of that. So that's my take on Video on Demand. Like and subscribe some more. And once again, those are my opinions.